From high above our world, astronauts look down upon a swirling blue marble. They see the great green forests of the Amazon, the vast orange sands of the Sahara, and the deep blue of the Pacific Ocean. Yet, over the southern coast of Spain, in a region called Andalusia, they see something truly unexpected. It is a brilliant white patch, so large and bright that it reflects the sunlight back into space, shining like a misplaced glacier. This is not a natural feature. It is not a snow-capped mountain range or a vast salt flat. This shimmering expanse is something built entirely by human hands. It is a testament to our species' ingenuity and our ever-growing need to feed ourselves. This vast white area is a sprawling collection of greenhouses, stretching as far as the eye can see. From the vantage point of space, it looks like a single, solid structure, a man-made sea covering the land. The sheer scale is difficult to comprehend. It covers an area of over 40,000 hectares, a space larger than many cities. This sea of plastic is a powerful symbol of modern agriculture. It shows our ability to transform even the most inhospitable environments into productive landscapes. For decades, this corner of Spain was one of its poorest and driest, a place where little could grow. Now it is a garden, a food factory for an entire continent, all hidden beneath a reflective canopy. The story of this place is a story of transformation. It is about how a simple idea, a plastic sheet stretched over a wooden frame, could change the destiny of a region. It is a tale of human determination in the face of a challenging climate. The white glow seen from orbit is the collective light bouncing off tens of thousands of individual plastic roofs. Each one shelters a small patch of earth, creating a special world inside where life can flourish. This place did not exist a century ago. Its creation has been rapid, a quiet revolution in the way we grow our food, and it holds important lessons for our future on this planet. As we journey down from the silence of space to the sun-baked soil of Almería, we begin to understand the true nature of this remarkable phenomenon. It is a place of contrasts, of brilliant innovation and significant challenges. It represents a massive human effort to control nature, to bend it to our will for our survival and prosperity. But it also reminds us that every action we take has a consequence. This sea of plastic is not just a farm, it is a giant experiment. It is an experiment in feeding a growing population on a warming planet, and its results, both good and bad, are something we must all study closely. The province of Almería is located in the southeastern corner of Spain, along the Mediterranean coast. For much of its history, this was a land defined by its harshness. It is Europe's driest region, a place with a desert-like climate that receives very little rainfall. Strong winds and relentless sun made traditional farming an almost impossible task. The landscape was sparse and arid, a backdrop for old Western movies filmed here because it so closely resembled the American West. It was a place people left, not a place people came to for opportunity. But that all changed, and the reason for that change is what now makes Almería so famous and so visible from space. The Sea of Plastic, or Mar de Plástico as it is known in Spanish, is the dense concentration of plastic-covered greenhouses that dominates the landscape. Imagine a vast, undulating ocean made not of water, but of translucent plastic sheeting. These simple structures hug the coastal plains and creep up the gentle slopes of the nearby hills. They are packed so tightly together that from a distance, they merge into one continuous, shimmering surface. It is this density that makes the region so unique. Nowhere else on Earth is there such a massive and unbroken expanse of greenhouse agriculture. This is why it is the largest single man-made structure visible from space in all of Europe. The effect of this plastic ocean on the local climate is quite extraordinary. Scientists have discovered that the vast white surface acts like a giant mirror. It reflects so much sunlight back into the atmosphere that it has actually caused a slight cooling effect in the immediate region. While the rest of the world is warming, this small corner of Spain has experienced a small but measurable drop in its average temperature. It is an accidental and fascinating consequence of this massive agricultural project. The greenhouses were built to trap warmth inside, but on a massive scale, their collective white roofs have the opposite effect on the environment around them. Walking among the greenhouses is a surreal experience. Endless narrow lanes separate the plastic-walled structures, creating a maze that stretches to the horizon. The air hums with the sound of fans and the distant rumble of trucks. You can feel the intense heat of the sun outside, yet you know that inside those plastic walls a different world exists. A world of controlled humidity, carefully measured water, and rows upon rows of green, growing life. This is not a natural sea, but it is teeming with a different kind of life. The fruits and vegetables that will soon travel thousands of kilometers to fill the shelves of supermarkets across Europe. The story of Almeria's transformation begins not with a grand government plan, but with the curiosity and resilience of its local people. In the mid-20th century, this region was struggling. The soil was poor, water was scarce, and the economy was weak. Farmers who tried to grow crops often saw them fail, scorched by the sun or withered by the lack of rain. But in the 1960s, a technique known as enarenado became more common. This involved covering the poor native soil with a layer of sand and then a layer of organic manure on top of that. This simple method helped the soil retain precious moisture and protected it from the salty air. It was the first step towards changing the land. The true revolution, however, began with a man often called the father of the greenhouses, a farmer and technician named Francisco Fuentes. The story goes that in 1963, Fuentes, working as part of a government agricultural program, decided to try something new. He had seen simple plastic covers used elsewhere to protect crops, and he wondered if it could work in Almeria's extreme climate. He stretched a sheet of plastic over a simple wooden frame, creating the very first rudimentary greenhouse in the area. The idea was to protect a small plot of crops from the harsh winds, and to see if the plastic could help trap moisture and warmth during the cooler nights. The results were astonishing. Inside this humble plastic tent, the crops thrived. The plastic shield protected the plants from the drying winds and reduced the amount of water lost to evaporation. It also created a warmer, more stable microclimate, allowing the growing season to be extended. Other local farmers saw this success and began to copy the idea. At first, the greenhouses were small and scattered, little islands of plastic in a sea of arid land. They were built with simple materials, wooden poles and thin plastic sheets. But the principle was powerful, and the idea began to spread like wildfire across the region. From that single small experiment, an agricultural giant was born. Throughout the 1970s and 1980s, the number of greenhouses grew exponentially. What started as a desperate attempt to survive became a highly profitable business. Farmers discovered they could grow high-value crops like tomatoes, peppers, and cucumbers out of season when they would fetch a high price in the colder markets of Northern Europe. The government and local banks saw the potential and began to offer loans and support. This combination of individual initiative, community adoption, and financial backing turned a small spark of an idea into the vast sea of plastic we see today. Stepping inside one of Almeria's greenhouses is like entering another world. Outside, the sun may be beating down with fierce intensity, but inside, the light is diffused, softer. The air is warm and humid, thick with the scent of growing plants and damp earth. These are not high-tech glass structures like those you might see in the Netherlands. Most are simple constructions, known as paral greenhouses. They are made with metal or wooden posts and stretched wires, over which the sheets of polyethylene plastic are draped. This simple and inexpensive design is key to their success, as it allowed many small farmers to get started without a huge investment. The magic of these structures lies in their ability to control the growing environment. The plastic roof protects the plants from harsh weather, like strong winds or the rare but damaging hailstorms. More importantly, it traps heat. During the day, the sun warms the air and soil inside. At night, the plastic acts like a blanket, keeping the temperature several degrees warmer than it is outside. This extends the growing season, allowing farmers to produce crops right through the winter months. In the summer, the roofs are often whitewashed with a lime solution to reflect some of the intense sunlight and prevent the plants from overheating inside. Water is the most precious resource in Almeria, and the greenhouses are designed to use it with incredible efficiency. The system that made this possible is drip irrigation. This technology was pioneered in Israel, another arid country, and was quickly adopted in Almería. Instead of flooding or spraying fields, which wastes huge amounts of water to evaporation, drip irrigation delivers water directly to the base of each plant, one drop at a time. Small plastic tubes run along each row of crops with tiny emitters placed next to each stem. This method means that almost every drop of water is used by the plant, dramatically reducing overall water consumption compared to open field farming. Beyond the plastic and the pipes, the farming methods have become increasingly sophisticated. Many greenhouses now use hydroponic systems, where plants are not grown in soil at all. Instead, they grow in bags filled with a neutral substrate, like rock wool or coconut fiber. Nutrients are mixed into the water and delivered through the drip irrigation system, a method known as fertigation. This gives the farmer precise control over the nutrition the plant receives. Furthermore, many farms have abandoned chemical pesticides in favor of biological pest control. They release beneficial insects like ladybugs into the greenhouses to eat the pests that would harm the crops. This creates a more balanced and natural ecosystem inside the plastic palace. The productivity of the Almería greenhouse complex is honestly difficult to overstate. This relatively small corner of Spain has become one of the most intensive farming regions on the planet. Every year, it produces more than 3.5 million tons of fresh fruit and vegetables. If you were to load all of that produce onto trucks, the convoy would stretch for thousands of kilometers. The sheer volume of food grown here is staggering, especially when you consider that this land was once barren and unproductive. The greenhouses have turned a desert into a vast, year-round garden, a crucial source of fresh food for tens of millions of people. The main stars of the Almería harvest are the classic salad vegetables. Tomatoes are the undisputed king, grown in dozens of varieties, from tiny cherry tomatoes to large beefsteak types. Close behind are sweet peppers, cucumbers, and courgettes, also known as zucchini. These four crops make up the vast majority of the production. But, the region also grows significant quantities of aubergines, or eggplant, as well as melons and watermelons. The focus is on crops that are in high demand in European markets, particularly during the winter, when it is just too cold to grow them outdoors in countries like Germany, the United Kingdom, or France. The success of Almería lies in its ability to supply these markets when no one else can. The unique combination of mild winter sun and the protective warmth of the greenhouses allows farmers to harvest crops from autumn right through to spring. So, when a person in Berlin or London makes a fresh salad in the middle of January, there is a very high chance that the tomato, cucumber, and pepper on their plate were picked from a plant in Almería just a few days earlier. This has fundamentally changed the European diet, making fresh, healthy produce available and affordable all year round, rather than just a seasonal luxury. This immense productivity is the result of continuous cultivation. As soon as one crop is harvested, the greenhouse is cleaned, and a new crop is planted. This allows for 2, and sometimes even 3, harvest cycles per year from the same piece of land. This intensity is what creates such a huge volume of food. The entire region operates like a finely tuned machine, with planting, growing, harvesting, packing, and shipping, all coordinated to meet the demands of a continent. It is a food production system on an industrial scale, all taking place under the humble plastic roofs of the Parral greenhouses. The impact of the Almería greenhouses extends far beyond the fields themselves. The project has really been a powerful engine for economic growth, completely transforming the fortunes of the region. Before the so-called plastic boom, Almería was actually one of the poorest provinces in Spain, with high unemployment and a lot of emigration. People were leaving to find work in the industrial cities of the north or in other European countries. But then, the greenhouses reversed this trend. They created a massive demand for labor, not just for farming, but for a whole ecosystem of supporting industries that sprang up around this agricultural powerhouse. The greenhouses directly employ over 120,000 people, This includes the farmers who own and manage the land, as well as a huge workforce needed for planting, tending the crops, and harvesting the produce. The work is definitely labor-intensive and provides jobs for many people, including a large number of migrant workers from Africa, Eastern Europe, and Latin America. Beyond the farms, thousands more jobs have been created in related sectors. There are companies that manufacture and install the greenhouse structures, businesses that supply seeds and fertilizers, and factories that produce the plastic sheeting and irrigation pipes. Furthermore, a massive logistics and packaging industry has emerged to handle the enormous harvest. Once the vegetables are picked, they are taken to large packing houses known as alhóndigas. Here, they are sorted, graded, washed, and packed into crates, ready for their long journey north. This process requires thousands of workers, from forklift operators to quality control inspectors. Then there's the transport sector. A constant stream of refrigerated trucks leaves Almería every day, carrying the fresh produce along Europe's motorways to distribution centers in other countries. This entire supply chain provides employment and economic activity. This economic miracle has had a profound effect on the region's prosperity. Almería's GDP has soared, and it now has one of the highest per capita incomes in Andalusia. New roads, schools, and hospitals have been built. The small coastal villages have grown into bustling towns. While this rapid growth has brought its own challenges, there's really no denying the positive economic impact. The sea of plastic has not only secured a vital part of Europe's food supply, ensuring fresh vegetables are available year-round, but it has also provided a lifeline of opportunity and wealth to a region that was once written off as poor and forgotten. While the story of Almería is one of incredible success, it is not without its problems. The very things that make the system work, plastic and water, are also the source of its greatest environmental challenges. The most visible issue is the plastic itself. The thin polyethylene sheets that cover the greenhouses have a limited lifespan. Under the intense Spanish sun, the plastic degrades and needs to be replaced every 2 to 4 years. With over 40,000 hectares of greenhouses, this generates a colossal amount of plastic waste, estimated to be over 30,000 tons each year. Managing this mountain of used plastic is a major struggle. While official recycling programs exist, they don't capture all of the waste. Improper disposal is a serious problem. Some old plastic is illegally burned, releasing toxic fumes into the air. A great deal of it is simply dumped in illegal landfills or abandoned in dry riverbeds, known as ramblas. When the rare but heavy rains come, this plastic is washed out to sea, contributing to ocean pollution. The landscape around the greenhouse zone is often scarred by piles of discarded plastic, tangled pipes, and other agricultural waste, which is a stark contrast to the pristine natural parks nearby. Water, though used efficiently, remains a critical issue. The greenhouses may use drip irrigation, but the sheer scale of the operation still requires a huge volume of water in a region that has very little. The underground aquifers, which are the primary source of water, are being overexploited. This means that water is being pumped out faster than it can be replenished by rainfall. As a result, the water table is dropping, and in some coastal areas, salt water from the Mediterranean is beginning to seep into the aquifers, contaminating them and making them unusable for agriculture. This is an unsustainable situation that threatens the long-term viability of the entire system. Finally, the intensive model of farming has social and ecological consequences. The heavy reliance on a migrant workforce has led to social tensions and concerns about labor conditions and housing for the workers who perform the difficult manual labor. Ecologically, while the move to biological pest control is positive, the sheer concentration of monoculture farming in one area can make it vulnerable to new diseases. The transformation of a natural arid ecosystem into an artificial industrial one has led to a significant loss of local biodiversity. The sea of plastic is a prime example of how solving one problem, food production, can create a host of new and complex challenges. The people and leaders of Almería are not blind to the environmental problems created by their agricultural miracle. there is a growing awareness that the model must evolve to become more sustainable if it is to have a future. In recent years, significant efforts have been made to tackle the most pressing issues, particularly the challenge of plastic waste. New laws and stricter enforcement have been put in place to combat illegal dumping. The regional government and farming cooperatives have invested heavily in creating more efficient collection and recycling systems to manage the vast quantities of used plastic sheeting. The goal is to move towards a circular economy for plastic. Instead of being a waste product, the old plastic is increasingly seen as a resource. Specialized recycling plants have been built in the region. Here, the old, dirty plastic is washed, shredded, and melted down into pellets. These pellets can then be used to manufacture new products, including new greenhouse film, irrigation pipes, and other agricultural supplies. While the system is not yet perfect, and a significant amount of waste still escapes collection, it represents a major step in the right direction, aiming to close the loop and reduce the environmental footprint of the greenhouses. To address the critical water shortage, Almería is looking to the sea. The region has become a leader in the use of desalination technology. Large desalination plants have been built along the coast. These facilities take seawater and, through a process called reverse osmosis, remove the salt to produce fresh water suitable for irrigation. This is an energy-intensive and expensive process, but it provides a crucial alternative water source that reduces the pressure on the overexploited underground aquifers. The long-term plan is to power these plants with renewable energy, particularly solar power, which is an abundant resource in Almería. Innovation is also happening inside the greenhouses. Farmers are experimenting with more durable plastic films that last longer, reducing the frequency of replacement. There is a continuous drive to make drip irrigation even more efficient, using sensors to monitor soil moisture and give plants the exact amount of water they need and no more. The widespread adoption of integrated pest management, using insects instead of chemicals, has made the produce safer and the farming process more eco-friendly. These are not small, isolated efforts. They represent a region-wide commitment to finding a better balance between productivity and sustainability, ensuring the Garden of Europe can continue to flourish for decades to come. The Great White Patch of Almería is more than just a massive farm. It is a profound lesson for humanity as we face the challenges of the 21st century. It stands as a powerful example of how human ingenuity can create abundance in the most unlikely of places. It shows that we have the technical ability to overcome environmental limitations, to grow food in deserts, and to feed a growing global population. The story of transforming an arid wasteland into Europe's vegetable garden is a story of hope. It demonstrates that with simple technology and determined effort, we can dramatically increase our food production capacity. However, the sea of plastic also serves as a critical warning. It teaches us that our solutions are rarely perfect and often come with unintended consequences. The success in food production brought with it immense challenges of waste, water depletion, and social strain. It reminds us that we cannot simply impose our will on nature without expecting a response. The plastic that pollutes the landscape and the aquifers that run dry are nature's way of telling us that our methods are unsustainable in the long run. The lesson here is one of balance. We must learn not just to control nature, but to work with it. As our planet's climate continues to change, many more regions around the world will face conditions similar to those in Almería: less rainfall, higher temperatures, and less predictable weather. The techniques pioneered in this Spanish corner, such as hyper-efficient water use, protected agriculture, and biological pest control, will become increasingly vital for ensuring food security across the globe. Almería is a living laboratory, an ongoing experiment in what it takes to farm in a hotter, drier world. The successes and failures here provide a valuable roadmap for other nations to follow as they adapt their own agricultural systems. Ultimately, the sea of plastic forces us to ask fundamental questions about our relationship with the planet. How do we balance the need to feed billions of people with the need to protect our ecosystems? Can technology save us, or must we also change our patterns of consumption? The story of Almería does not provide easy answers. Instead, it presents a complex picture of trade-offs. It is a story written in plastic, soil, and water, a story of human ambition, innovation, and the enduring challenge of finding our sustainable place within the natural world. It is a story that we must all understand as we shape our shared future.